Welcome to this week's episode of Listen to Your Coaches. I'm your coach, Mike Wilkins, here with Coach Will Morrow. And behind the scenes, we've got a young Max Jarrell. This week, we're going to run down some UFC 312, some one fighting championships. We'll talk about Dominick Cruz's retirement and some other local happenings. Will, I regret to inform you, I did not watch UFC 312.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, dude, I was blackout. Watch it.
You were celebrating some other,
I was celebrating
other things.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I'm sure we'll get to those celebrations soon.
yeah, let's get to it. All right. So Will, let's start UFC 312. Tell me what happened. Clue me in. What did I miss? Where should I have regrets? What should I go back and watch?
I got you on all fronts because I watched all the fights except for Cody Steele.
That's
Luckily.
crazy. That's like the one fight that I wish I
I know,
watched.
dude. I tried too, but like I was watching them in here, and I was like, just like cleaning up, and like I hung up that little map of Middle Earth, which is sick, and just like taking care of stuff. So at a certain point, I'd been like, it doesn't matter, but I didn't. That's one fight I missed. Anyways, let's start at the top though, or the bottom rather. So very first fight, and actually, so I told Max to pull up the. Are you obsessed with the map of Middle Earth now?
Yeah, I actually want to look deeper into it later.
Don't let me forget when we're done with this. I'm going to show you. There's an overlay of the map of Middle Earth over the U.S. so you get an idea of scale, and it maps out like where Frodo goes.
Oh, okay.
Dude, they had this dude walking all over, dude.
Okay.
Imagine if you walked from like New York to like, I don't know, like the middle of the country and then down to Florida and back up. Like it was crazy. But
Oh, that was pretty wild.
neither here nor there. So dude, in my notes, I took notes on all the fights because you know how I am with like names and forgetting stuff. Dude, the first
For
one I just
sure.
wrote first fight. And I was like, oh, I wonder why I did that. This is why I wrote. What's that guy's name?
That dude's name is Killian Salkild versus
Not bad.
Anshul Jubilee.
Okay, well, you nailed that actually. So Killian got a 20-second knockout. Yeah, we should celebrate. It's probably the first time you've
Incredible.
pronounced something real well. Actually, funny enough, so dude, I just saw a clip this today on Instagram of Jubilee talking about like how Islam's not that good. He's like, I'd last through the first round, I'd knock him out in the second. And
Well, no, wasn't he talking about Habib?
I think he was talking about Islam.
It was about Habib.
It was?
Let's go. Let's break the tie. Max, who was he talking about?
He was talking about Khabib.
Boom.
There you go. Even more egregious.
Yeah.
Because then he got knocked out by Killian in 20 seconds. So, I mean, there's really not a whole lot to talk about here. They circled a little bit. He threw a couple jabs. Boom, lands a big right hand. The one thing we could discuss is the stoppage. If it was like a title fight, we'd be like, yo, that was way too fast. Like, he didn't let him work. Basically, the dude goes down and is clearly out. But, like, as soon as he hits the ground, he's, like, back to it. And then, like, shoots right away. And it took them, like, 20 seconds to get him off of Killian's leg. So, congrats to Killian. Hometown kid. But
I didn't want to start this already, but here
Start.
comes some deconstructive criticism.
hit us.
If it would be a stoppage, and if it wouldn't be good enough to be a stoppage in a title fight, then it's not good enough to be a stoppage in any professional MMA fight.
That's a fair point. Let me put it this way. If it was a stoppage in a fight that you really cared about, you'd be like, that was crazy early. And it was one of those ones that's like on the verge because the dude goes down and like I can see how like a ref might be like, oh, but also you've seen dudes like take way more damage and be way more hurt and let it keep going. So like I could see it either way.
I get it. I just want to make it clear that there should be no difference based on of the value of the fight.
Oh, yeah.
If it's a professional fight, where a difference where a difference could come in was it an amateur fight. Well, then
Right.
yeah, like you could stop those earlier. A little bit more on the protection side.
For sure.
But like, you know what I mean? The sport shouldn't change. The roles to the sport shouldn't change
Actually.
due to like the importance of the fight.
100%. Let me rephrase in a way that I think is actually much more accurate. If you would have been in Jubilee's corner, you would have been like, no, dude, that was too early.
Okay, yeah.
Anyways, it was on the verge. It is what it is. Don't really care. But, congrats to Killian because he's obviously, an 8-1 local kid who just got on because he's local. So that must be like so fun if you're like this is in what, Melbourne or Sydney?
It was in there. Yep.
But like if you're in Australia and the UFC's not there very often and then it just comes through,
yeah.
you get on. That's so sick.
It was in Sydney.
Sydney.
Yeah.
Sydney.
Right on. So yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about that fight. Next fight, these dudes were welterweights and they were so slow. Like,
Oh, really?
Dude, it was shocking how slow they were. I was like, dude, even me, like not in shape right now. I was like, I feel like I'm a faster striker than these guys. The fight itself, not great. It was mostly them just exchanging like single shots. It was open stance, and they both threw like a million rear kicks to the body, which is cool because you don't see, like, in my opinion, enough body kicking in MMA. But this fight was not good. These dudes were not like...
Yeah, let me tell you what I think. I haven't watched this fight, and now there is a chance that I would have found this fight entertaining because I don't need there to be grappling for me to be like, oh, that was a good fight or that was a bad fight. But a general rule of thumb, if there is 9 total seconds of control time in a 15-minute fight, that means that one combatant controlled somebody for only 9 seconds throughout the whole 15 minutes, regardless of which one it was. That tells me that I'm not into that fight.
Dude, you would not be into this fight at all. It was literally just like circle. Well, so that's the other thing, dude, is Jusei was like kind of pressuring more, even though he like lost and 8 more strikes and everything. But he never cut the ring. And they were talking about that on the broadcast too. And it's just like a lack of fight IQ. I think they said that he had a judo background too. He didn't clinch once. He didn't shoot once. He just stood on the outside and just kept getting beat up.
Just gotta wonder, like, what's going on?
Just throwing kicks back and forth. It was not... Dude, even for like a Muay Thai fight.
Was that his UFC debut? Juicei's?
Don't know.
Okay. I was just looking at his record.
But either way, that's kind of all you need to know about that fight. Didn't miss much on it. Yeah, the right guy won. So that brings us to the next fight. Cody Steele. Neither of us have seen it. Max, what happened in that fight? Our picks didn't go so well.
Cody Steele was definitely my pick, as I'm a big fan.
Yeah, Cody Steele, I'm not going to call it like an adrenaline dump because I think it was 30-27 on... It was 30-27 on all scorecards. He came out and, like Cody Steele's got... I don't know if you've seen a lot of his regional fights. Like, he's a scrappy dude. Like, he'll throw down, he's got good hand. He's got good power.
Yeah.
He's tough. He's a tough, like, grappler, heavy kid. He shot once and, Mike, I think you should rewatch it at some point.
I will.
To me, it looked like his entries were really good, but he kind of... The first shot he took, he kind of like abandoned the finish after he hit the hips. And then from there, he was like, okay, I guess we're just going to like throw down now. The problem was, I thought it was actually really, really well played by Rongju. It kind of seemed like Rongju lured him in the first round into like a dogfight and then kind of pulled himself out of it a little bit. And Cody was like...
Still in that.
Cody was still in like, oh, we're going to throw down mode. And Rongju in the second and then third round was like, no, I'm just going to like piece you up on the outside because you're in brawl mode. Like, I don't even think that he shot at all in the second, in like the later rounds.
Dude, that's super interesting. So I'm going to throw some stuff out there. Without having watched the fight, I feel like, like coming from a similar type background as Cody Steele, like a wrestler, grappler type thing, I think that like he's at a point in his career, which, unfortunately for him aligns with him entering the UFC, but it's not going to be the end of the world. He's going to be able to climb out of it. But there comes a point when you come from a wrestling heavy, grappling heavy background to where you start to get a little bit more comfortable with your striking. And that has a dramatic impact on like the tenaciousness of your takedowns. Right. If you look at like, I actually watched a lot of Cody Steele's earlier fights, so I don't necessarily know this was like exactly the case with his earlier fights because he was kind of striking the entire time. But with me, right, like earlier on, it was like life or death, get the takedown. You know what I mean? So if a takedown got stuffed, that is
fight's over.
Well, no, that is no problem, my man. Like here comes another 14, Rob style. Rob style. Like I'm shooting. And then like, there was a part like mid pro career where I felt like I was a good striker too. So a takedown gets stuffed and now there's a striking fight and that's okay when it shouldn't be okay. Right. So that just like picking off of Max talking about Cody like abandoning like the takedown, I can kind of like remember that like evolution, and then you start to really find yourself and trying to be as efficient as possible, and you understand that like if I shoot 4 takedown attempts and I only get 1, so be it.
Yeah.
Now here comes like if I'm only getting 25% because you're good defensively, then I got to shoot more. Right? Like we're seeing Rob do.
Very cool.
I do like that his opponent is a one-named person.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
He only has one name.
Rongzhu.
Rongzhu.
You got anything else to say about this, Max?
Nothing super major. I think that both of you could like. I think you both would find parts of it interesting. I think that you in particular, Will, would find some of. I think not interesting, but I think you could very easily look at a lot of Cody Steele's stuff and blatantly be like, oh, he's pulling his head all the way back to center after throwing shots. He's doing like the whole. Like his like quote unquote fainting was like skipping forward but not actually throwing and then leaving himself there. It was a lot of that type of thing. So both you guys I think could see like raw potential but also pick apart little details here and there.
I don't think Cody's been fighting that long. I think those 8 fights happened within the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
For example, he had a really good East Coast trials, and this was October of 2023. And I don't know, he might have had 2 fights at that point in time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so he racked these up pretty quickly and is still relatively.
I know in 2021, I don't think he had debuted. He took 3rd at East Coast Trials in 2021, and I do not think he had debuted yet in MMA.
See, that's something that like students will talk to me about at the gym sometimes. It's like, oh, like this guy's such a great striker and whatever, and they're talking about people in the UFC, and it's like it's hard to explain to people that like the level of striking in the UFC really isn't that good.
The level of anything in the UFC
exactly
it just can't be that good.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't mean they're not good fighters. You know what I mean? And like, especially like, I mean, obviously, I'll play it up sometimes in like clinch classes, and I'll be like, oh, you know, like MMA fighters can't clinch, and like they're not great at it, but it's not their fault either. You know, it's like
I mean, there's just not enough time.
Exactly.
Right? Like, if you get 12 practices a week, right? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to spend all 12 of my practices on jiu-jitsu. And you're like, well, I'm going to spend 4 of mine on jiu-jitsu and 4 of mine on striking and 4 of mine on wrestling. Like, you know, that's just all there is to it. Here goes something interesting about the numbers on this fight. So we are currently looking at the fight metrics. Is that what you would call this? Like where you see like total strikes, knockdowns.
Yeah, just stats from the fight.
Yeah, stats from the fight. And what is a significant strike? It's everything but a jab, correct?
Dude, that I don't know. I have just been going with that definition because you told it to me, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But like,
well, here goes what I want
to.
It
could be a subjective thing too.
Okay, well here I don't subjective or whatever. Cody Steele threw 209 total strikes. He also threw 209 significant strikes, meaning he did not throw any strike that was not classified as significant, as an insignificant strike. Whereas Rongzhu threw 243 total strikes, and 241 of them were classified as significant.
That's interesting.
So if it holds true that, from what I was told, that the jab is like the only thing they're considering not a significant strike, then that means Cody threw 0 jabs and Rongzhu threw 2.
I'm glad you actually brought that up because that's one of those things that you've talked about before. And I was just kind of like, oh, yeah, all right, cool. That makes sense. That's where that stat comes from. And I have never thought about it like since. But yeah, like what is the definition?
I want to know. I would like to know because like Cody Steele, total strikes, 209, significant strikes, 209. So every strike he threw was classified as significant. And like damn near the same with Rongzhu, except for 2. He threw 243 total strikes, 241 of them classified as significant.
And I would imagine that he threw at least 1 jab. So like, you know.
I mean, you got to imagine Cody Steele threw at least 1 jab too. 209 punches.
That's what I mean.
You didn't throw any jabs.
Yeah. So
like, come on, I like. So that's what.
So maybe it is more subjective thing. Max, if you find a definition, even if we're in other fights, just like chime in.
All right. But
yeah,
let's move.
Scroll us up. All right, dude, this was an
the
interesting
thickness.
One. So okay, when we like first were reading about this dude, you know, taking over the open spot. And like, you know, being like, oh yeah, Cody Thickness. I was like, his name must be like Thick Knees or like, you know what I mean? Something else. Nah, dude, they're like, all right, Cody Thickness.
Colby.
Or Colby Thickness, rather.
Colby Thickness.
So this fight, I don't know if I'd say it was like a good fight. It was okay. Topuria just like dominated him. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about it. Thickness was really just like, you know when you see someone who's like overly jumpy and you can tell he just doesn't want to get hit and he's not committing to strikes and he just like can't get any respect. He's not hitting anything hard. You know what I mean? Like he's not shooting in a way that is scary. Like he just was getting walked down the whole time.
Dude, he was 0 for 8. The Thickness was 0 for 8 on takedowns.
Yeah.
Dude, shout out to him for shooting 8 times.
Oh, dude, yeah. He needed to. But the Topuria was stuffing him. Now, Topuria looks like fight style exactly like a smaller version of his brother, like
Oh, no.
stance and stuff, but the skills aren't the same. One, his offensive volume is not the same as Ilya, right? Ilya is just constantly pumping that like super heavy piston jab into dudes, and Alexandre just isn't doing that. Like he's kind of walking down, and he does have the same slick movement, so he can like stay in the pocket and not get hit, which is really cool. Not a lot of MMA fighters can do that.
Time
But,
out.
yeah,
Time
go for
out. So this has got to lead us more towards what is a significant strike. Look at Toporia's total strikes versus significant strikes, 110 to 79.
Yeah.
Right? So even if he's not doing that piston like jabbing, he must be jabbing like a decent amount. Whereas you have the thickness over there with 131 strikes, 127 of them significant.
Interesting.
Right?
Max,
so that
maybe look up
means
specifically
31 of Toporia's strikes were classified as something that would be not considered a significant strike.
I wonder if that does sound about right for the amount of jabs.
I'm only going to be like, let's look at this the rest of the way through the card as the card unfolds.
Yeah, I'm hoping that you get a good answer for us sometime soon.
I don't know if we're going to get a good answer.
Well.
I mean, I've been in this, I made my MMA debut 18 years ago.
Well,
and
I mean,
I don't know.
It's what they're classifying it as is what's important to us.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, that's kind of all there is about Topuria. He looked good. He had a really big like suplex type of deal at one point that was sick. He had what else did he do? Oh, he had a really nice spin kick that missed by like a very small amount. So like he had some big moves that you don't really see out of his brother like in the same way. But obviously, Ilya can do similar things, but Ilya is like significantly better, but the same style. So obviously if Alexandre gets more experience, he could probably get better, but like as of right now, I don't see him being like his brother. But interesting fight. Let's move on to the next one. All right, dude.
Oh, Wang Kong versus Bruna Brazil.
I was kind of bummed about this because I chose Brazil strictly because she was
on
the
the
Fighting
Fighting
Nerds.
Nerds.
And like that's kind of all I knew about her, really. I mean, I know she's a striker and everything, and also I just kind of wanted to like pick against you guys, but I felt pretty good about it, right, dude? First off, kind of boring fight, right? Low volume, lots of hesitation, just kind of looking at each other, which like has its place. And I do kind of hate when MMA fans are like, "Oh, this fight sucked." They just like whatever. And when it's actually like a very like interesting strategic fight, and like people like harp on like Anderson doing that a lot in the first round, just like downloading information and being boring and whatever. But Anderson would then go out and like starch dudes in the second and third round. You know what I mean? So like it was very different. This fight was just a lot of hesitation, a lot of just nothing happening. In the second and third round, Brazil did almost nothing. Just kind of like stand there, and run away. Stand there, run away. You know, Kong had a couple moments where she landed a couple of big strikes, but overall, pretty boring fight.
Well, look at Kong's total strikes, significant strikes, one difference.
There's no way she only threw one jab.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
182 total strikes, 181 of them were significant. Look at Brazil, 64 total, 64 significant. Here comes Max.
I'm still looking for an exact method of how they calculate significant strikes, but everything that I'm seeing is like I'm not seeing anything that is saying jabs are not significant strikes. One of the things that's being determined a lot is there's a difference between power strikes and significant strikes. A significant strike could be a low kick, it could be a jab. Everything I come back to just tells me that it's how the official scorers are calculating significant strikes. I'm trying to figure out what that criteria is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But
Yeah.
jabs could still be significant.
So to
strikes.
me, that just means it's subjective. And
So
there's
I would
some
like to
dude-
know what the single strike that Wang Kong threw that they classified not significant.
Yeah, dude.
The single one. There was one single strike she threw that was not considered significant, and it has nothing to do if it landed or not.
Right. Maybe
Because-
it hit her in the shoulder. Maybe it was just
In
weak.
fact, the fight the
Well, it had to have landed
had to have landed.
based on what we're seeing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's just kind of guesstimated by people whose job it is to watch
Yeah.
real time, because you got to think you also like mid fight the announcers will be like Wayne Kong is up 15 significant strikes to 0
Yeah.
right now.
And they always talk about how in mid-round it's like not official.
Yeah, it's like the unofficial. It's because there's just people there who are just subjectively watching and determining what's.
Well, there's got to be something they're subjectively looking for, though. There's got to be
that's
something.
what I mean. There's got to be a criteria for it,
right? Because they were like, hey, that strike, actually, this one, not significant. And with the Topuria fight, there was 37. They were like, nope, 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 nope.
Which is crazy because...
Man, I bet you
like,
someone watching this knows and is just losing. So when I
dude, Poland's told me he does that. He's like,
oh yeah, I do that when I listen to I listen to a lot of wrestling podcasts, and they'll be like talking about something, and I'll be like screaming. I'll be like, "It was Jay Jaggers, in 2008." Yeah,
dude, I do the same thing with MMA stuff. Where like, someone will be like, "Oh wait, who was the guy who did this?" And I'm like, "Obviously, it was this dude." And then like when we're here and we're like, "Wait, this guy fought this guy." Like, sometimes you just don't remember. But anyways, yeah, dude, that's kind of all we gotta say about this fight. It was not particularly good. On to the next one.
Slide me up, Max.
All right, dude. This was the guy I was telling you about.
Oh, this is your boy.
This is our boy,
Tim Nolan.
Yeah, Tom Nolan. So Nolan. First off, I'd seen Borshev fight on not the other. What's Dana White Contender Series, right?
Okay.
And he was like just like crazy tough dude, right? Throws heavy. So going into this fight, I'd never seen Tom Nolan fight before. I was like, he's the Australian. Like maybe they give him a good matchup. I don't really know, but we'll see what happens. First off, dude, Tom Nolan walks out, tall, skinny, wearing purple. Right?
Oh, that's your guy.
So I'm like, yo, that's my dude. He's got to win now, right? So. Dude, it was just crazy. Actually, you know what? I got to get into my notes now because I'm forgetting so much stuff that happened. This fight was like, it's one of the fights I have like a lot of notes on because a lot of stuff happened. So Nolan comes out. He's super aggressive, right? He with like his striking and his grappling. And when he's in grappling exchanges,
pause.
Yeah.
Brother, look how many non-significant strikes were thrown in this fight. Look how many.
Okay, so you know what?
Dude, that's like, what is that? That's 50... That's 61 non-significant strikes thrown by your boy Tom Nolan. Look at that. This is the only fight where there's drastic differences in between total strikes and significant strikes.
So I don't know why Borshev's would be different. One of the reasons Nolan's might be considered that is he threw a bazillion strikes off his back, but they were kind of significant though. I don't know, dude. I don't know, but that's something that might factor into it. So I don't know.
Okay, but was Wang Kong ever on her back?
No.
Or what about Topuria? Because Topuria had 40 or had 30 some strikes that were not significant.
Yeah, dude. I think Max is right. I think there's just some dude, sitting in the back.
Dude, I gotta know. It's gonna drive me crazy. All right, go ahead.
I can tell.
Whoa, hold on. Update maybe?
My final kind of like analysis of this, everything says that they have the unofficial numbers, they have teams there who are counting them unofficially, but then after the fight's done they go back, tally up all the numbers, and that's how they post them on the website.
Okay.
It's just a team of people whose job it is to go back and determine this type of thing.
So but still not an answer
There's
on
no
what the difference is
that they actually have for what is significant and what is not.
Damn, dude. My day is pretty much ruined.
Yeah, we'll never know.
And the craziest thing is we have the internet.
Hey,
Max is sitting on a computer.
Actually,
right
you know what,
now.
Max? Ask ChatGPT. Maybe you'll
No, don't. We already know GPT doesn't know anything.
When it comes to combat sports, they'll give you some screwy answers.
Yeah, dude. The one time, so we were Will was trying to flex.
No. Hold on. Slow down.
You were
flexing. I was not flexing.
Yeah, you were.
I was like, yo, Mike, you ever play with ChatGPT? And you're like, no. And I was like, dude, check it out. It's kind of cool. Sometimes it's like occasionally wrong about stuff, but like just ask it some like questions. Dude, you asked it the most basic question. It was what? Who has the most takedowns?
Who has the NCAA record for most pins?
So it gives us an answer, right?
And it says it was Josh Koscheck with like 87 pins. And two things threw up red flags for me. Number one, I know who has the record, and it's not Josh Koscheck. Number two, I know the record is not 87. The record's like 107, right? Number three, Josh Koscheck is not even a pinner. I bet he did not have 87 pins, let alone that. So then we did our own research. We looked it up and we were like, oh, it's like Wade Chalice or Gene Mills, because back in their day, some records were not as greatly kept. So it was like between like 106 and 109 between the two of them. And like Ben Askren had 91 pins and stuff. And then I was like, let me see what Josh Koscheck had that they thought this. He had 3 pins. He had 3. We were like, bro. And they were like, oh, he's got the record.
So we started telling ChatGPT, we're like, dude, why would you tell us this? He's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm sorry. I messed up. This is actually the right answer.
Sorry, I made a mistake.
Well, no,
it is Wade Chalice. It
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Gene
And then you
Mills.
go, what about Mills? And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. It was.
Oh, yeah. ChatGPT was like, I was like, well, what about Wade Chalice? And she's like, oh, yeah, it is Wade Chalice with 106 pins. And I'm like, well, what about Gene Mills? And she goes, yes, Gene Mills had 107 pins. And I'm like, oh, my God.
Dude. And so then I went from being like, yo, dude, ChatGPT's pretty sick. I was like, all right, dude, I think
It was the worst string of questions for Will to like show me how cool ChatGPT was.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, this is completely worthless.
But anyways, back to this fight. So, dude, first round, Nolan super aggressive, right? With his, like I said, striking and his grappling. And what was cool was he was landing little elbows on the ground, like in transition periods and times when like Borshev wasn't ready, which I'm a big fan of, right? So I mean, dude, tall, skinny, super aggressive. He's shooting too. Like a lot of time. How tall is this dude? He's what? Like,
Dude, he's
doesn't
got to
matter.
be at least 6'3".
I would guess he's over 6 foot and he's a lightweight. So like, yeah,
Does that
dude,
say
6'3".
6'3"?
Yeah.
I would like to the record to show that I said he was at least 6'3", and I did not watch the fights. I have no idea what he looks like.
I mean, you can see the picture of him there. But,
Yeah, but I nailed it.
Oh, you were spot on. Yeah.
Because in the pictures, they're the same height.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Do you think they're going to make one like profile picture larger than another
I guess they
one?
don't do them to scale.
Right? Even if they're not doing them to scale. Even if you put like 115-pound like female fighter up on one side, and then you had like Stefan
Derek
Struve
Lewis.
on the other side,
Yeah.
they're going to be the same. It's still going to be a 3-inch photo.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I guess you can tell from the skinniness. But either way, after the first round, I'm a fan of Tom Nolan. This dude's awesome, right? So the second round, this is interesting because the announcers, I believe, were kind of getting this wrong. But Nolan had like the prettier striking, but Borshev was landing more. And so you know how if you don't really know what you're looking for, you look at that and you're like, oh, this Nolan dude, he's doing all this fancy stuff and whatever. And he did start to like actually land and whatever. And, you know, it could have been a close round, but I would have given that round to Borshev. And you see that in the scorecards too. Like that's what
Two judges
of the
did.
judges had. But it's just interesting, like hearing the announcers talking about it, like, you know, like, oh, that's another thing that I had written in my notes here about this is Borshev's coaches were giving good instructions, but they have no codes, dude. No codes.
Well, were they talking in Russian at least?
No.
Straight up. I almost said American. Straight up English?
Yeah, dude. Straight up English. I actually don't think Borshev is like, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think he's from, I think he's American, but like Russian.
Like, yeah.
I could be wrong about that. His fight name is Slava Claus, which is kind of funny.
Oh, okay. I know who he is.
Yeah. And he wears his little, he seems like a likable dude, but I don't think we're going to see him in the UFC for too long with a record like this, unfortunately. But, dude, so it all comes down to the third round, right? Could be one apiece, some of these scorecards, you know, whatever. But anyways, dude, so Nolan comes back. He's just going hard. He somehow ends up on his back. I don't remember exactly how it happened. Dude, he did like you know how when Holland knocked out Jacare, he like counterbalanced and like popped up off the floor. Imagine that, but with a kick. Dude, just ninja kick. Just pushed off the floor, flipped up, boom, like a little cartwheel kick off his back, and it like landed legit.
I saw someone get knocked out with that in the NAAFS back when like 2008-9.
Oh, for real?
Dustin Kempf. He was like he was kind of like around Justin Steve's area, right? Yeah, he like I can't remember who he was fighting, but yeah, he just like came up like off his like back instead of like an up kick, he threw like a round kick.
Yeah, exactly.
And knocked him out.
Yeah, well, so unfortunately, he didn't get the knockout, but he landed that. It was super sick. He landed some more up kicks, and then Borshev like drops down into like a half guard or whatever. And dude, Nolan's just posting and like hucking elbows, hucking hammer fists
From bottom or from top?
from bottom. And dude, I would like never tell our guys to do this, but bro, I think he might have been winning those exchanges, man. Like it was sick, and like it kind of reminded me a little bit of Condit, because like, you know how Condit was not a submission before attack kind of guy. He was just attack from everywhere. Which now that I'm a coach, I don't like love that as much. But like back when Condit was fighting,
It had like a pureness to it.
Yeah, it does, and I still love Condit, but like it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. But anyways, he stands up, his striking looks good. He lands a mean nut shot, whatever. It's just a wild fight up to that point. Then Nolan essentially just wins like the striking exchanges and gets that round, in my opinion. I think the 29-28 was the correct score. Not mad at the 30-27, but like, dude, it was a very fun fight. I would recommend going back and watching it. And I am now a big Tom Nolan fan. This dude is, again, tall, skinny, wears purple, and super aggressive, which I told you this.
6'3" at lightweight.
Right.
That's tall.
And I told you this before the fight.
Maybe see him versus Jalen Turner.
Dude, that would be sick. Or against, who's that other real tall lightweight Max, you'll know.
Joel Alvarez.
Yes.
The Spanish kid.
Dude, all of those guys, put them against each other. I'm in for any of those matchups. Or all just, run them against each other, dude. But so I told you this before the pod. When I didn't tell you who it was, but I was like, oh, there's a guy who like.
And it's Tom Nolan.
And it was Tom Nolan. He reminds me of a cross between Condit and Lucas, because he did shoot, and he is like tall and skinny, but less like Lucas. He's had that Condit in him where he's just like attacking from all positions.
Dang, shots at Lucas.
No, I would say that's a good thing for Lucas. That Lucas is more disciplined than the super aggressive, natural born killer from the 2000s and 2010s. You know what I mean? That's all love to Lucas. But yeah, dude, I'm very excited for this guy. We'll see where he goes. Let's go to the next fight. This one was kind of boring.
Jack Jenkins, he didn't kick no one's leg in half.
Dude, I was bummed because like I was expecting like a big kick.
Dude, he only threw
him.
7 leg kicks.
Yeah, man. He just kind of, it was one of those deals where he like landed some hard kicks, but then Santos just
Was
kept,
he getting he got taken down 4 times.
Actually, hold on, dude. You know what? Let me look at this. I think Santos actually got beat up pretty bad in the first.
Max.
Yeah, dude. Okay, yeah. Okay, so Jenkins landed a head kick and put him down. Now I'm remembering this right. And is like beating him up, and then he gets stuck in a triangle. And then they like work back to the feet and whatever. So, first round's probably going to go to Jenkins. Dude, Santos was just super tough. Came back and just started taking over. And then I think it was third round? Yeah, third round he gets the submission. So that was a fun fight. But like I was expecting more from Jenkins being like the bone-breaking kicker.
Okay.
So I was a little bit.
Maybe are they classifying non-significant strikes as strikes on the ground? Because I see that Santos has 6 minutes and 19 seconds of control time, and I also see that more than half of his strikes are not significant strikes. Which is crazy, because would you classify, a ground and pound strike that knocks you unconscious significant?
Yeah.
We still don't know what it is. But look, he threw 123 strikes, 61 significant. So that means he actually did have more insignificant strikes than significant strikes.
So I'm glad you went back on the significant strikes thing, because it gave me a chance to read some more of my notes. Two things that I thought were interesting here. One, I'd forgotten this. The ref was yelling at Santos when he was in top guard and like being busy to like, hey, you gotta work, and like getting closer to them and stuff. And so I wonder if that's an Australian, just getting the better of the calls that they were trying to make happen, or if like the UFC or athletic commissions or whoever is like starting to crack down on inactivity or whatever. But I thought it was absurd how fast he was like, you gotta work. I was like, he is working. And then the other thing that I'm glad I saw, again, Santos had Oliveira in his corner, and you see the stylistic like similarities between them. So Santos is someone we should look out for, because like Oliveira also would get hurt in a lot of his fights. You know what I mean? So like It was pretty similar. He looked good towards the end of it. I think I was just upset that I wanted to see a leg break from a low kick, but
Well,
don't always get what you want.
Here goes something else funny about the stats. I mean, no one cares about this, but they also like lay them out like head, body, legs, and like we're just over here. It's like, okay, head, that could be a kick or a punch. Or an elbow. Right? Body, that could be a kick or a punch. Less likely an elbow.
Yeah.
Right? But legs, we're just like 100% assuming it's a kick. Right?
Yeah, it could be those like clinch knees, you know what I mean? But yeah.
Oh yeah, it could be a knee too. But like we're not like no one's like, oh, he punched his leg.
How many leg
But
punches?
people do that.
Yeah. How many leg punches from standing do you think there have been in the UFC?
10.
That was gonna be my over under at first, but it's got to be more than 10.
It's got to be. You're right. Okay. All right. Well, we're just kidding.
Neither here nor there. See,
All right, let's bump us up.
That's the kind of thing that I wish GPT could actually tell you. There's no way it would know.
They would get it wrong. All right. So now we're on to the main card. We got Jake Matthews, my man.
And you will be very happy with him. He dominated, dude. It was just like,
Bro, how did he got 0 takedowns?
yeah, bro.
What did he dominate with? Punching?
Boxing, dude.
Oh,
boxing.
damn it.
It was a crazy fight too. They were both like standing in the pocket, throwing heavy boxing exchanges. Matthews was just getting the better of it pretty much the whole time. One thing Bisping said was he wishes Matthews would throw more kicks because he was a little bit earlier and like did well with them, and I agree with that. But I mean, I'm getting nitpicky at this point. He was putting it on, dude. Matthews looked pretty awesome. It was a fun fight. Like it was a little bit back and forth. You know what I mean? I shouldn't say it was like dominant because Prado was throwing the whole time.
Well, here goes something that I like. I like that.
Prado shot a lot.
Well, he shot 6 times. He got a takedown and 2 minutes and 16 seconds of control time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was from that exact takedown, but he did not win a round.
No, and that was like that's the right score.
Fully accurate. Okay.
Yeah, he did not win a round. Look through my notes real quick, see if there's anything else like interesting from that. But that's kind of what it was. It was just like mostly heavy boxing exchanges.
That's all I want to hear. That's good. I like it. Simple and sweet.
That's all. Oh, that's what I had. I knew there was something good in the notes here. Okay, so you remember how earlier I told you those welterweights were super slow?
Yeah.
When I watched this fight, all I could think about was I was like, dude, how slow were those other welterweights compared to...
Oh, because these dudes looked fast.
Yeah. I'm like watching them and I'm like, okay, like that's how I expect my fighters, my amateur 170s to be throwing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just like shocking how bad the other dudes were speed-wise and to a degree fight IQ-wise. Who am I to say that these guys are in the UFC? But you know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
Hey, that's part of them being in the UFCs. They got to be
open
to my criticism.
They're held to a higher critical standard.
But anyways, dude, yeah, Jake Matthews, I'm excited. I hope he gets a cool fight next. He's one of those guys who like I just want to see him make big money and get out before he's like brain dead. But yeah, fun fight.
Sure.
What do you know about the Jimmy Crute fight?
Nothing. Dude. I know that I don't know anything about it. Oh, I know one thing about it now.
Bro.
I know it was a draw.
Okay, so dude,
should we pretend it just didn't happen and move on?
No, dude. I wasn't expecting a whole lot out of this because I'm like, oh, they're light heavyweights, right? Dude, it was wild. The first round, Jimmy Crute beat the dog shit out of Bellato. Like, bad.
A 10-8?
And some would say yes.
Well, is that why there's a 28s up here? So someone scored that at 10. It looks like 2 judges scored it at 10-8, actually.
Dude.
All 3 judges scored it at 10-8.
It was funny because initially when they were reading the scores,
so when I read these scorecards real quick, that means that all 3 judges scored that first round at 10-8 for Jimmy Crute. Okay. But what it means is that the other 2 judges, wait, how did he get a 29 then? Oh, they had him winning one. So one other judge had Jimmy Crute winning one of the other rounds, whereas the other 2 judges had Jimmy Crute losing the next 2 rounds.
Exactly.
But all 3 judges scored round 1, 10-8.
Yep. And those scores make sense. So again, Jimmy Crute dominated the first round. Yeah, got his 10-8. It was
This
wild.
is what is called a majority draw.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say too. When they announced the results, the first thing they say is 29-27, and then they said, I forget, they like started to the next thing, and Jimmy Crute was like, yeah, and then they announced that it was a draw, and he's like, oh, just like seeing it. Like,
majority draw. The majority of the judges scored it a draw.
But anyways, so second round, obviously Bellato comes back. He damages Crute's leg pretty badly in that. It was close. I could see giving it to Crute. I think I even said that I might have given it to him, but it was close. And then Bellato just came alive in the third, put it on him. It's incredible to see someone with. It's kind of, we were talking about that after we were discussing. Remember the NSCA notes, like big dudes with gas tank. I mean, dude, that's a game changer, and he really put it on in the third. Got a mid-round takedown. Clearly won. So
Max, get your mic ready. I got to talk to you.
So yeah, interesting fight. I don't know if I would go back and watch it again, but it was pretty cool.
I got some test questions for you guys.
Cool.
All right, Max, your mic on?
Oh, you're gonna talk about
okay. So
these are good questions.
We know that this is a draw, right?
I bet
it's
Max
a
knows
majority draw.
Right.
I'm sure. I feel like Max does know this. I'm gonna let him flex. What would constitute a split draw?
If
This one's easy, dude. Think about it.
The hard one is majority draw.
Yeah.
That is the hard one. Like a unanimous draw is
Yeah.
Yeah, then they all
all
just
three
agree
judges.
that
What's a
it's
split?
draw.
What's a split draw? That's the final type of draw.
Oh,
I've never thought about it.
You're gonna be so mad if you don't get it. It's so
Probably,
easy.
There's 3 types of draws.
but I would imagine
A draw, which is known as unanimous. A majority draw, meaning 2 of the 3 judges. A split
Right.
draw. 3, 2, 1. It's like, let's say we're 3 judges. Will scored it a draw. You scored it for fighter A. I scored it for fighter B. So it's a split draw.
The 2 winning scores offset each other.
Yeah, we offset each other because you scored it. You scored it for the red corner. I scored it for the blue
I
corner.
actually
He scored
don't
it
know
a
if
draw.
I've ever seen one of those.
That's a split draw. You know what? I mean, I know I've seen one.
100% we've seen them.
I mean, none's coming to my head, but yeah. So those are the 3 styles of draw.
Was Shevchenko Grasso a split draw?
You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
And then you have majority decision. Do you know what a majority decision is, Max? You know what a split decision is. You know what a unanimous decision is.
Yeah, majority is when someone says it's a draw and then the other 2 agree on the other
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. One judge has to have it a draw, and then the other 2 have it for the same person. All right, cool. Yeah, just you know what? I bet you some people watching didn't know that.
100%. That's actually a really helpful thing
Because-
that just popped out there.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right.
On to the next one. All right.
Tafa versus Teixeira.
So, look, they updated his record. He's not 1-0 anymore.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, look. Now he's 8 now.
Yeah, dude, he just ran through Tafa. Tafa, I don't think is particularly good, if I'm being honest with you. And his brother's better than him. And I don't know
Bro,
if he's that
one
good either.
strike? Wait, how long did this fight last?
35 seconds.
All right, cool. We talked about it. Next.
Dude, you know what's crazy about this? Teixeira just runs him into the cage, hits him with an elbow, and Tafa's just done for. Like, he's not out, but you can tell he's no fight left in him.
You
So,
think he's cut?
I wouldn't be surprised if he's cut, but they just have no one at heavyweight. So, like, what are they going to do? And also, like, his brother, I believe, is a bigger draw than him. So, I don't know. But I don't really like him. So, hopefully they cut him. Dude, Teixeira didn't even land with his elbow. He landed with his forearm. Yeah. I mean, it was, like, towards the end.
I mean, when you're
when you're
when you're big as
260
fuck, you're big as
pounds,
fuck, yeah.
it kind of doesn't really matter. But, yeah, no, that's all there is about that. Let's move on to the first title fight. So,
all right. Wow, that's telling. The scorecards are telling to me. So, I really wanted, Tatiana Suarez to win. We needed some more American champs. You know what I mean? I would like that. But these scorecards, so that means that there was one judge had a 10-8 round,
that makes sense, actually.
right? Because all judges had Weili losing
Round one.
All
she
judges,
should've.
right? Because that's why she has 49 and not 50.
Yeah, I think I would have scored it probably 49-46, but I see why. There was one round where she cracked her pretty hard. I bet that's the...
One judge just didn't.
Yeah. So,
Just give me the clip. Just
all right,
run him.
cliff notes. And there's really not a lot to say. Round one, Suarez gets a takedown, ends up on top. She, I think, was hanging on to maybe a guillotine for a little bit. Ends up getting reversed at some point. And
Wait. Who was hanging onto a guillotine? Weili.
yeah, that's it. Tatiana, she jumped the gilly.
But she has 0 sub attempts.
Well, that's ridiculous because she jumped it.
We can't trust ESPN.
Unless I didn't see what I saw and wrote down the wrong notes, but I wrote that Zhang stands up and Tatiana jumps a gilly. So, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, Zhang pops out and plays top guard for the rest of the round. But,
Shout out to Tatiana for shooting 15 times.
dude, straight and
3 around.
bro.
Let's go.
She never gave up.
Let's go. That's it.
She never gave up, and she never stopped shooting, which it was the only way she could win. And dude, they were getting stuffed bad. So I mean, that's basically the rest of the fight. Is that she kept shooting, Weili started defending them, and as time went on, the defenses got easier and easier, and her like meanness and her striking got more and more like.
Bro, Weili, 299 total strikes, only 87 significant.
Dude, yeah, what are they?
Dude, less than 1/3 of the strikes qualified as significant. That's crazy. Same with Tatiana,
crazy.
like a little bit more than a third.
Her striking didn't look.
We gotta
particularly
know.
good.
We gotta know. What are they looking at here?
But that was essentially the fight. Weili just kept getting better and better. She did the
you
whole,
just got to be so impressed with Whaley.
dude, so
she's
impressed.
so good.
And she's good on the mic now too. She's learning English. She got on the mic and she was like, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. The fans go nuts. Very impressed with Suarez too. Like we all know her story and everything. And that's just super impressive. She got there. And again, what was impressive about her in the fight, she never broke, dude. And she kept shooting. Even though she knew her shots were getting stuffed, she wasn't setting them up super well at that point. And was just getting beat up and hurt too. Never stopped shooting. I love that. So good for her. Maybe she can work her way back to it. I don't see her losing to anyone outside of Wei Li. So
hey,
who knows?
And also, there's maybe Wei Li moves up. Maybe she.
Also, how
loses
old
this
is Wei
one.
Li? She's not gonna be there forever.
How old's Tatiana though? That matters
because she had a whole wrestling career first, right?
I don't know how long she did it though.
Okay, fair enough.
Whatever. Okay, let's move.
Let's move on to the next one. All right,
Dang.
boy. DDP. This was I showed you. This is the fight I had the least amount of notes for a number of reasons. One, because during this fight, I was mostly just trying to stay awake. I was so tired. It was like,
look at the significant strikes, dude. Only 2 non-significant strikes in this entire fight.
and that makes sense, dude, because he was hucking. But dude, the first thing I said when I went downstairs, I was like, "Yo, Marissa, they got to start putting these fights on earlier. I'm getting old." But yeah, dude, DDP just did what DDP does. Strickland didn't throw as much volume as he should have, didn't control the range the way that he should have. And I think it was the third round, maybe it was the second round, he broke his nose pretty badly and
I saw some photos.
adjusted it. He told his corner, he's like, "Oh, it's fine, I put it back in place." And I don't really know if you can even do that, but he was busted up. Dude, DDP has the strangest style. And it's not pretty to watch, but boy, does he know how to win. He just goes forward and just hucks.
So it's DDP versus Chimaev next.
You gotta imagine so. And it's interesting because DDP,
I am interested in that.
I'm
fight.
very interested.
I am interested in that fight.
Both of them are guys who I have bet against in the past and been like, "Oh no, they're overhyped," and they've just proven me wrong every time to the point where I'm like, I will never bet against them now. And now they're fighting each other. So I'm like, what do you do?
This might be one of the fights I'm most excited for, honestly.
Dude, you should be. It's
all
very
right.
Interesting. Dude, it's crazy how big Dreykus is. He's enormous.
Oh, yeah.
He's Pereira was in Strickland's corner. And there's a moment where he's looking over the fence. So who knows what's going on there. But, this fight wasn't particularly fun to watch, if I'm being honest with you.
If DDP beats Chimaev, he's got to go up. He's clearly big enough to. He's got to go up and fight Alex.
Dude, if he beats Chimaev...
DDP beats... if he does, right? Let's say DDP beats Chimaev, Alex beats Ankalaev. Boom. Super fight.
Dude, that's sick.
That's it. That's the December, right?
Dude, love that.
All these dudes, they fight in July. Or no, the Ankalaev fight's already announced. April.
Yeah, that's
It's April.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. We could do some cool things here, or some cool things to get on here.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap. That's it. That's UFC 312. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to the one championships card, the night card, the one on Amazon Prime.
We're gonna keep this real brief.
I do want to talk about. Are you talking about the first fight by chance?
I'm gonna talk about the last 2 fights, and that's it.
All right, so I'm gonna start it off. We had a grappling match. Johnny Grippo, multiple-time IBJJF world champ, was fighting, grappling Gabriel Souza. Gabe Souza, you probably are most familiar with him. He had just lost to Mikey and won, and we were all bummed about it. But decorated ADCC vet, a bronze medalist. He's very good. He had a win over Mikey prior to it. That was Can you get it? I'm just gonna let it just drip out all over the floor. That was a rematch. You were just cool with it. You're like, yeah, dude.
It was more funny than it was destructive. So,
oh, dude, it's dripping coffee on the floor. Whatever. So anyhow, Gabriel Souza, real good. He won this match. It was a very competitive match. But one thing I do want to say about the grappling and one, I know you're really into the rule set. I'm not really into the rule set. I don't know. I want points to be scored.
Yeah, you've always been more towards points, and you've pulled me a lot more towards it,
which is weird though, because I do like the Who's Number One, which there was a big Who's Number One event this weekend, which were really good, really exciting matches. Jocko Willing's daughter won a match on there by heel hook, a quick one.
Interesting.
but like they also judge it like similarly.
Yeah.
But what they do is every third through the match, they say judges favor blue, judges favor
okay.
red. So you kind of know where you're
You know
at.
if you're winning a chunk of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean you've won the first round and then won the second round. Like judges can favor red in the first and second round or portions, and then blue win.
Yeah.
You know, by decision. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like if they're gonna judge it like that, like I feel like longer is better. And if you want shorter, more action packed, you throw some points in there. You know.
No, that makes a good point. I do think it's interesting that you and I have like, I don't want to say opposite because like I very much see where you're coming from and I'm definitely not against points and everything, but like I think that you and I tend to drift towards opposite sides of the spectrum of like martial arts versus sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean it's part of why you and I complement each other so well in coaching and everything. But
it's just like it's just nice to know like the score.
Yeah.
Of what's going on, right? Not being like, oh, I think Gabriel won. Oh, I think Johnny won. Oh, this was also a split decision, by the way.
So that's why I like open scoring. I think in MMA that would make a massive difference in terms of like how people fight and like if it's fair, you know, whatever. But the reason why I think one is maybe I'm just kind of off the top of my head, they do call the catches mid.
Yeah, there's no catch. No catch.
Not catches. What do they call it?
Catch. They call the
catches.
catches. Yeah.
Gotcha.
There was no catch during this. But you know, it's just like imagine you didn't know like the score of the Super Bowl until the end and you're like, oh, I mean,
we got to discuss Super Bowl too.
Yeah,
actually.
well, I mean, like, last night, like, I felt like the Eagles were winning the whole time. But,
Yeah.
All right, but there's that. Go ahead, just move on to your fights. And let's
All
go
right.
off one.
Yeah, I'll make this real brief. So shout out to Paulins. Thank you for texting me. He was like, hey, that guy that I just got up to the top. He was like, yo, that dude that I showed you on Instagram is fighting. And I was like, oh, cool. And so I, popped in like at the, whatever that was, Diego Pez, Sean Clemento. They're both American. They both in California. So, and I think they fought before, maybe they were 1-1. I forget how it worked out. Doesn't really matter. Not the fights that I was interested in. The next was an MMA fight, so best believe I actively didn't watch that. It would have made me worse. But dude, then Kong Thorney. So I've seen Kong Thorney's last 3 fights now, and I didn't really know much about him before, but I was like, oh, this dude's got cool shark shorts. He's the one I told you about.
Oh, yeah.
And they're always different colors. The one time he had the purples, and I was like, yo, that's my dude. Purple shark shorts, right? But like I've been paying attention to him now, and I'm like, yeah, this dude's actually good. So apparently, I didn't know this. He had a close fight with Superlek, right? And obviously he fought Nongo, and Nongo is like a legend and everything. Dude, he's very much impressing me. He's tall, he's like pretty thick and like strong for the weight class, and he's like very, very technical. So like to be perfectly honest, I don't have a whole lot to say about this fight other than also actually I should. Nongo is super tough. He got beat up and then like started to come back a little bit, but clearly lost the fight. But like it just there's a reason the dude's a legend. But Kong Thorney, I'm very interested in him, and I wonder if they're going to give him a title shot. But he's one of those dudes who's like used to fighting in the stadiums, and for whatever reason, one tends to like favor those guys and give them more fights. So I wonder if they have him fight one more time, and like one does like tune-up fights essentially. They did that for Superlek. I wonder if they have him fight either on the same card or similar to when Superlek fights Nabil, and then that sets up Kong Thorney against Superlek. I think that would be an interesting matchup, but who knows what's going to happen. But look out for Kong Thorney. He's awesome. And then, dude, Praja Chai. Yo. you can see the difference between the guys who fight in the stadiums and have, I mean, I don't know how many fights he has. He must have like 400 fights or something against these dudes who have like, 20, 30, 50, whatever. First round, Barboza comes out and is like, looking like he might be in it, you know what I mean? And dude, Praja Chai after 2 rounds just building. He starts landing these elbows. I think it was the 3rd round. Was it say 3rd? It doesn't matter. 4th round, he lands an elbow and he just points at him in the MMA gloves. And the ref was like, oh, yeah. And they stopped the fight. But dude, it was so sick. I thought you would have enjoyed it. He just,
like that.
Bong, and it just points at him and called his shot. I was like, that's pretty sick. So, Praja Chai, I don't see
And he's holding 2 belts on his shoulders. Is one Muay Thai, one kickboxing, or is he 2 weights?
No, I believe it's kickboxing and Muay Thai. He's a little dude, so I don't really see him going up. But dude, I don't see anyone taking that from him. Like I'm pretty sure he has 400 fights, dude. Like this guy is super, super good. So shout out to him. Those were very fun fights. I'm glad I caught those. And like I said, I think the thing we need to look for is Kong Thorney against Superlek. That's got to be on the horizon. So that's all I got for one. Let's keep it moving.
All right, so we had a retirement of an all-timer, Dominick Cruz, who was scheduled to fight. Max, do you know when he was scheduled to fight? It was supposed to
It was like next month or something.
yeah, probably next month.
He was supposed to co-main against Rob Font later this month on the
that'd be
22nd.
Yeah, a shoulder dislocation in his retirement post, a picture of him with his shoulder dislocated. Said it was his like second dislocation in the last like 6 months or so, or a year or something like that. And that's it. That's a career. That's an all-time great right there. WEC champ, crowned into the UFC championship. I think he had 3 title defenses as the UFC champ, and then just was riddled with injuries.
And it's a
moving on after that.
it's one of those things where, okay, so full, disclosure up front, I very much do not like Dominick Cruz, right? Like as a dude, he gets annoying when he's announcing stuff. I like his interviews and stuff. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't really like see me being friends with this guy, but he's undeniably awesome at fighting. The other thing that I kind of like, low key, I don't even say hate on him for, but like say something that could come off as like dismissive or like not awesome is in like the way I describe stance switchers. I'm like, oh yeah, he's a Gen 1 stance switcher, and like I do say it like kind of like
Yeah, but like
disparagingly.
how can you be Gen 2 if there's not a Gen 1?
Exactly, it would be like looking back at like Chuck Liddell against Pele and being like their ground and pound wasn't that good, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, well if they weren't doing that, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, you're standing on his shoulders.
And he made it like a thing. So like we have a lot to thank him for in terms of like styles, and also just some huge fights. And also being a heel, that makes it fun too. When I got into MMA, I was a big Faber fan, you know what I mean?
Yeah, me too.
And then, obviously their rivalry and me not liking Cruz, like, obviously makes things interesting. But where would you say that he's the all-time best bantamweight?
Oh. Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I'd probably give it to him. Would you say that he's the best fighter ever in the UFC under 145?
No. No, DJ.
DJ. I 1000% agree with that.
DJ, but I would say he's the best bantamweight of all time.
Yeah, I would agree with that, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, like let the dude live, bro. Come on, man.
I'll be a hater, dude. Whatever. He's been a hater on
I mean, someone's gonna overtake it,
Yeah.
And like he didn't have like what? So like you gotta think, call it 5 title defenses because you gotta count WEC.
Yeah, the WC for sure.
You gotta count it because that was the UFC for that weight class. So much so that he didn't win the UFC belt. He was given it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a trade out. Yeah. Good, Max. You got some stuff to say.
I was just gonna ask, since you guys both seem definitive on him being the best of all time. I hate that we have to have like this conversation now, but how far off do you think Merab is?
Oh, I think he's hunting, but like I don't think you can consider him in the topic right now with just 1 title defense.
You could argue if you wanted to be wrong.
Are you saying because of all the champs he beat before getting the title?
And how
I'm
he
looking
did
at
and
Merab's
everything.
resume.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's a really good resume.
If you wanted to make the argument, I still think you'd be wrong, but you could argue because of his resume and the things
like
he's
beating
accomplished.
so many champs
And
to
also-
get there.
yeah, and
like
also-
Aldo, Yawn,
and just the time.
him.
You know what I mean?
There's more.
Like if you
But
look at
how far off do you think he is? Like, what do you think he would have to do?
that's what I was going to say to you
realistically
earlier.
get
I
there?
don't think it's as easy.
I mean,
to
I
get-
don't think there's anybody that Merab could fight next that is at bantamweight that would jump him over Cruz.
I think for
You know what I mean?
Merab,
I
it's
think
a
he
numbers thing.
needs more.
Yeah, exactly.
After that would be my
agree.
thing. Yeah.
What
You
I was
gotta
also going
think
to say
like
is
Dominick Cruz was beating like Uriah Faber,
Yeah.
and like that's very comparable to Merab's Jose Aldo,
exactly
right? Like okay, you were beating a world champ from a weight class up who came down. Now Dominick Cruz wasn't able to beat other UFC champions because they didn't exist, right? Like during his run, like as the champ, he couldn't beat a former champ because there was none.
there.
Yeah, it was just him. And at bantamweight, who was the former champ in WEC? He beat Brian Bowles, who took it off of Miguel Torres. Who
Jorgensen maybe or
no, I don't know who had it before Miguel Torres. You know what I mean?
yeah, I think Miguel Torres was
Like
the
we're
first.
talking now, and he might have been the first. He might not have been, but if he wasn't,
Wait,
we're
Brian
talking.
Bowles had the championship?
Brian Bowles beat Miguel Torres for
Really?
it, and Dominick Cruz beat Brian Bowles for it.
Dude, that's crazy. I remembered in my head Cruz beat Torres.
I was there when Brian Bowles beat Miguel Torres.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was there. It was in Columbus. It was at the Arnold.
that's
WC had it at
sick.
the Arnold on that same card. Anthony Pettis was on that card. Chad Mendez was on that card.
That's
Jens
incredible.
Pulver was on that card.
Was Cowboy on that by any chance?
No.
Some of those early Cowboy fights were
Yeah.
wild. Oh, dude, I not as fondly as Pride, but I do look back on WEC like, yo, that's super sick. But what I was gonna say earlier is I think that in the modern era, it's way harder to get as many title defenses as he had. So I would put Merab on like a sliding scale to a degree. I think if Merab gets like,
To be clear, I am counting both WEC title defenses as I would a UFC title defense.
in my mind, they're the same thing.
It's the same thing at that weight class.
Exactly. It was the.
I'm not
premier-
counting the WEC lightweight title like that because it ran next
Exactly.
to the UFC lightweight title.
and
But the featherweight title and the bantamweight title,
not only that, but it's like
it was the title. It was so much the title that they were given the championship when they moved over. They
and
were given it.
deservedly, you know. And I was gonna say it's even stronger for exactly what you're saying reason than like you could say like the Pride champ was better than the UFC heavyweight champ back in those days because like you said they literally just didn't exist. So like he's the best that there was. So yeah, man. I mean, good career. Hopefully we don't hear too much of him on the mic.
I mean, you will. Like that's his full-time gig now, and now he has less training to worry about, so
Yeah.
he can just really run
That's
all
a
that.
good point.
You think he's that bad on the mic?
I just don't like.
You just
him,
think he's
dude.
condescending?
He's condescending, which sometimes I like. Like Bisping sometimes will just like say some ignorant stuff and I'm like that's kind of funny. But like he just something about him like rubs me the wrong way. You know what I mean? I don't know. I've just never enjoyed him.
Miguel Torres, Dominick Cruz had a rough second half of his career.
He really did.
You know,
He really did.
First off, he only fought absolute
Beasts.
studs,
Mm-hmm.
absolute legends, which is what happens when you're that caliber of fighter, right? Who was his like comeback fight? Like he fought, didn't he fight TJ? And then
He fought TJ. He came back and took the title off TJ.
he came back and took it off TJ.
Yeah,
Wait,
'cause
what?
that was
Whoa, he's better than I thought. I'm gonna need
this
you to
is-
bring up
I-
his
Jesus.
Pull
record.
up his record, dude. I did not remember that at all.
I did not remember that. I thought after he lost it, he never regained it. He beat TJ. I thought TJ beat him. This is crazy. Oh no, yeah, because Cody beat him. Holy smokes, dude! Yeah, Cody beat him.
That's where that all got
Oh my
set up.
gosh.
Jesus. Okay. So
Oh wow, wow.
dude, and he's got a win over
Look,
Demetrius.
go down just a little bit more because that Brian Bowles fight. Is that not winning the title?
Yeah.
And that where was that? March 6th, WEC. Click that plus sign next to his title fight. Columbus, Ohio. Doesn't say, huh?
If you click on that event, you'll get it. Wow, dude.
Dude, this
did not remember it like this.
yeah, keep this card up. Yep, Columbus,
What
Ohio.
a
I told you I was
career.
at this card. I was at this. Look at some of the fights on there. Joseph Benavidez versus Miguel Torres. Vasquez versus Pulver. Pettis head kicked Danny Castillo. Chad Mendez.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Ricardo Lamas was the curtain jerker.
George Roop. Oh my god, dude. I forgot about a bunch of
Leonard Garcia.
Leonard Garcia.
Yeah, Chad Mendez on there too. That's a pretty good card for like a local card. That's like one of those like a bunch.
That's
of
not a
talent.
local card. That's a
Hey.
world card. That's
I mean, local to like.
to
us.
happening close to us.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
dude. When it says Javier Mendez, I never mind. I read that wrong. It's Varquez or whatever.
Vasquez. So
Vasquez.
he is married to Rose Gracie.
Oh, okay.
So there's a connection to us.
Yeah.
Whenever he fought in the UFC after that, and he fought on UFC Pittsburgh, Javier Vasquez, and a friend of ours did his IVs.
Okay. I know what you're talking about now. See, I just saw Javier, and those are like small font. Even for me, I just saw it ended as, and I was like, "Is that the AKA coach?"
Yeah. Go back to Cruz's record. That he's way more impressive than I was giving him.
Dude,
credit
I'd
for.
forgotten he beat DJ. I mean, granted, DJ went up.
Oh,
a
I
weight
knew.
class.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. But like, I'd forgotten about that. I'd also forgotten
He never got that Henan Barral fight, but he did. I cannot believe he came. So he came back. That Mizugaki fight was a non-title fight because he had
yes.
been out for so long.
That was the fight that I remember him coming back.
He just looked like
phenomenal.
Yeah, like he didn't miss a beat. And then he beat TJ. That was a split decision, huh?
Yeah. I'd
Okay,
forgotten
fair
about
play.
that.
Then he rebeat Cody, and that's when Cody was like, "You should," or that he rebeat
Faber. Right.
Yeah, and then Cody beat him,
That's right.
and then he lost to Henry.
Interesting.
No shame in that.
Yeah, dude, Henry's a monster.
Beat Pedro. Yeah.
Max, what are your thoughts on Henry?
Max, would you argue that Henry Cejudo is not the greatest combat athlete in MMA?
I mean, I don't know, dude. I think Poeton's
Dude,
right up there
really?
with him.
Okay, tell me why. So first off, the way that I look at it, you have to be a champion in MMA to be in the conversation, right? Like
To be the you're to be the greatest like
combat athlete in MMA. Now, the reason I'm saying in MMA is because there's perhaps somebody who won like a judo Olympic title and a wrestling Olympic title and
Sure.
some other that I'm not aware of,
Right.
In which you'd be like, "Ooh, that's it," right?
I would think that I think that there are like say Matt Serra, for
Yeah.
example. Matt Serra won a UFC title. Corellin did not, but I think Corellin is a better combat sports
100%.
athlete.
Yeah.
100%. But I'm saying if we're talking, but he did not do MMA, so he could not be involved in this. Correct.
Right.
So if we're talking about MMA fighters who are going to be the greatest combat athlete of all time, right? Like and that's what I'm saying. There might be someone who is the greatest combat athlete of all time who didn't fight MMA, so they're disqualified from our poll of what we're talking about. We're talking about just the greatest combat athlete who has fought MMA. I think that we have the top two right there: Henry Cejudo and Poeton.
Yeah, I think that that's fair.
Yes,
I would agree.
I've
I
heard
agree.
now you're going to be more informed on this than I am. I've heard that there were stipulations though to Henry's Olympic him getting on the Olympic team. I heard that was seen as like a fluke
No.
to a degree. Is that not true?
No, it is not
Okay.
true. Him winning the gold was seen as a fluke. Now, here goes why. It was seen as a fluke because the year before he finished 31st in the world. But it's not a fluke that he made the Olympic team because he was on the world team the year before. So he was the favorite to make. So the way it works in wrestling, every year, guess what, Max? If you want to be on the Olympic team in 2028, you possibly could, because all you have to do is enter the U.S. Open, which is everybody is eligible, right? You want to go enter a Naga, you can go enter a Naga, right? If you want to enter the U.S. Open, anybody can enter the U.S. Open. You fill out the paperwork and you do it. You need no prior qualifications.
Do you think we should do it?
No. If you win the U.S. Open,
be some
you qualify
crazy
for the
content.
Olympic team trials, right? If you win the Olympic team trials, guess what? You're on the Olympic team. So it is literally like open to any. Now that is not for every country though,
Right,
But
yeah,
that is.
yeah.
But to
That's
make
how
the
we do it.
American team, anybody can do it. Like you are allowed to do it. Mm-hmm. So he made the world team the year prior. He also was being like bred for this. Like he didn't go to college. In fact, in high school,
I've
he
heard
finished
through this.
He's from Arizona. He finished high school at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. He wrestled for Coronado High. He did his junior and senior year of high school, not wrestling, like not.
Right. Yeah.
He was at the Olympic Training Center. He wrestled in the junior worlds against Besik Kudakov, who is my favorite wrestler of all time, a Russian. And yeah, he just in the 2007 World Championships, he finished ranked 31st, lost his first match. But then in the 2008 Olympics, I mean, he made the team fair and square. In the 2008 Olympics, he beat, like, there was not a controversial match. Like, he won.
Yeah.
It was just like, how do you go from 31st to the best in 1 year?
By living at the
Right?
Olympic Training Center.
Well, no, I mean, he had been living there at that point in time since 2004.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 2005, actually. 2005. So that's his fourth year there. And, you know, it's just one of the things. It was his first world championships, right? You also got to keep into account, at this time, he was 17, 18, 19, and 20.
Right.
Right? So, like, those are periods where you can have monumental growth, right? Those are also periods where it's more so prevalent that, like, a mental hiccup can be prevalent. Like, imagine you're 19 years old at the world championships, right?
Yeah.
Probably a little more scary as a first timer. I'm sure it's going to be scary for everybody.
Right.
But as opposed to a 28-year-old who's dealt with some other life things, like going there for the first time, you know?
Did they ever have the Olympics at elevation? Because I'm just thinking Colorado Springs is at elevation.
I mean, I don't know.
Whatever. I'm just sorry. Just
So
curious.
there's that. And, like, that's the big thing with Henry. And then right after the Olympics, guess what he did? Didn't wrestle again until what? The next Olympic trials. He took the next 3 years off, and he was like, I'm going to go try to defend my Olympic championship. And he lost in the semifinals to Nick Simmons. At the trials. So he didn't make the team. Nick Simmons didn't make the team either. Nick Simmons then lost in the finals to Sam Hazewinkle. But that's like the weird, that's the fluke
weirdness
thing
around
about,
it,
yeah. But that's also one of the things you see with him in his MMA career. Like Henry Cejudo, right? Did you ever see him lose to Joseph Benavidez? That was his first MMA loss. He lost to Joseph Benavidez It was like a split decision, right? Could have gone either way. But then you watch him, and then you watch him lose to DJ, right? And then you watch like the night and day difference, like
Right.
what 18 months later,
Yeah.
you know? And then after that, like you know what I mean? Like this is a dude who,
levels up.
yeah, in my opinion, he's someone who you would call a roller coaster, right? His lows are real lows, his highs are real high, and he can go back and forth between them.
Yeah.
Right? He's not riding this train up a hill, right? Where you got some peak, like, dude, he can be high and he can be low. Like, for sure, do I think that Henry could beat Merab? Yes, I do think he could beat Merab, right? How much would I bet? Do I think he could get smoked by Merab? Yes.
Yeah.
I think he could get smoked by Merab. But like you can't count it, like he's a special athlete, someone to win the Olympics at the age of 21, at the age of 21, right? And in that time, like people weren't doing that. People weren't winning the Olympics at that age. People weren't even trying to make the Olympic team at that age, really, at that point in time, you know? Like everybody else on his team had a wife and kids, you know?
It is weird
At
how
the
in
Olympics
wrestling-
he made, Daniel Cormier was on that team. Daniel Cormier is like 10 years older than him.
Yeah, that is nutty.
Yeah.
It is crazy how in wrestling you see like a crazy age range, you know?
Yeah. Well, okay, let's go back to Poton now. All right. 2-division glory champ. Right? So here goes the other thing now.
Yeah.
We're talking Cejudo and Poton, and now they're more in it because they have something outside of MMA, which is what's given it, right? They have something outside. But they're also 2-division champs in MMA.
Right.
Which is like what's taking them above Kayla Harrison.
And
I was going to throw in a different third person there.
Go ahead.
I think you already mentioned him, but I think number 3 is DC.
So, but DC, yes. DC would be number 3, 100%. Because DC has outside, he's a double champ, and he has very, very high level outside accomplishments. You know, 5th at the Olympics. You know, you want to know the difference between 5th and champion is?
4 dudes.
Yeah, it's 4 dudes, but like it's like
Right, yeah. Those are all guys who could beat each other.
bro, and that was ball draw era. The difference
Right.
between that could be, hey, which color ball did they pull out of this
Exactly.
bag?
Yeah.
You know, so like there's that. But I think being an Olympic champion is significantly harder than being a glory champion.
Now let me ask you this. This kind of, it's related, but the reason why you would consider Overeem not in the same boat.
He didn't win a championship.
A UFC championship, but he was a Strikeforce champion.
Yeah, I just don't qualify Strikeforce as
Being the same, yeah.
And he's also, well, I mean, it's harder for a true heavyweight. He was a light heavyweight at one point in time, but like, it's kind of a true heavyweight.
Right.
You can't hold this. That's the other thing. We can't hold the same criteria. Like, let's say like Stipe also won the Olympics. We can't hold the same criteria. You got to be a double champ.
Right.
Because like he could have never been a 205-pound
he's
champ.
gonna
There's only
cut off
one
an
weight
arm.
class, right? He can't go up. So you can't hold that criteria for him.
But no, I do agree that Strikeforce was a step down from
Yeah,
UFC.
definitely. It was definitely a step down. But
But going back to what you were saying about...
I just think an Olympic gold medal is just a way higher credential than a glory belt, even 2 glory belts, even 3 glory belts,
So you just walked us through...
even 4. Like name them. Like
You just walked us through what he had to do to get an Olympic championship. How many years would you put on that? Basically from when he started wrestling? I mean, right?
Well, here goes the other thing to put on it. There are 6 Olympic champs every 4 years. That means you have an average of 1.5 Olympic champs per year. Now, listen, that's not per weight. That's everybody. That is everybody. You know what I mean? There's 6 every 4 years.
So, okay.
That's it.
I'm going to give you
How
some...
many glory champs are there at any given time? 8, right? And how often can they change over? Every 6 months, a
Right.
year, right? You know what I mean?
That was going to be the point I was going to make, is that like definitely... So I was going to give you some pushback. I was going to be like, let's count the Olympics as worlds, because it's
Right.
kind of same thing. So that brings that number down. But exactly what you said, you could have 3 different champs in 1 year in glory, you know?
Yeah, you could have 3 different champs in 1 year, or you can have someone with a long run. That's the same too. But either way, even if you had 1 champ for 4 years straight, right? That's still 1 per year, right? Of just that weight, of just that weight. If we're doing just that weight, you have 0.25 per year, because your weight class gets contested once every 4 years, and that is it. And there's only 6 weights to choose from. Do you like to be a double champ in wrestling is like
Impossible, dude.
I can't even think of one. I'm trying to think of one right now.
Didn't one of the Satievs get bigger?
No. Adam would wrestle heavier because
His brother was...
yeah.
Got you. Okay, but he didn't...
But actually on a year that Buvsar took off, Adam won that weight.
And did he win one the year or the weight above it ever?
Yeah, so he's a 2-timer, but not Olympic.
Right. Interesting. Okay, so hold on. Subjectively, here's why I also think you're right. If you look at how Poatan wins, right, a lot of times it's nuclear left hand, right? Which, like, again, this is going to be very subjective. In my mind, is easier to land that nuclear left hand than it is to grind out however many matches of wrestling. You know?
So that is true, but I'm going to definitely say that doesn't matter. That shouldn't come into the account, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay,
actually, let me ask you this:
whether you have a big play or not, like winning is the important part.
So actually, I'm going to go back on that now because here's what I just thought in my head: what's more impressive, someone who gets to a glory championship by knocking dudes out, or someone who gets to a wrestling championship at any level by pinning?
By pinning.
Yeah.
Pinning's harder to do than knocking someone out.
Yeah, I think so.
But I'm not trying to like use that as the criteria here.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure. No.
Because you can't pin anybody in glory. You know what I mean? Like knockout is the pin.
Exactly. That's my point.
You know? But yeah. I mean, for example, there's far more knockouts in striking combat sports than there are pins in grappling combat sports
wrestling.
At the high level.
Yeah, for sure.
At the high level. Yeah, obviously in high school you see a bunch of pins because you got a kid who's about to go D1 versus a kid who
just
got
started
pulled out of the
City
classroom because he was the only kid in the school who weighed 106 pounds.
Yeah.
You know? And stuff like that. But, you know, to win an Olympic title is just like absolutely
I think
insane.
that's...
The other thing is
I think in wrestling specifically...
There's only one Olympics too. Like, you know, like there's glory, there's K1.
Right.
There's one. Mm-hmm. You know, there's like other world titles to be had in boxing. There's the WBA, WBC, like other to be had.
I do think it's more difficult to get a wrestling championship than a glory championship, but I think it's harder to get a glory championship than it is to get certain Olympic medals. Now, this could just be me not knowing
what
enough.
Like different sports.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
I bet if you took like some weird obscure sport that like not that many people do, and you take Alex Pereira and you put him in that, like, you know, he'd probably smash some dudes.
What sport?
Well, that's my
Taekwondo.
Like, oh, dude, for sure.
You think he would beat them in Taekwondo though?
Yes,
in Olympic Taekwondo. You think he would win in Olympic Taekwondo?
Yeah, I do.
Will, you'd be a good person to ask for this.
Do you even know the rules?
Yes.
What are the rules? How does
I did like I didn't do Tang Sudo, but I did Taekwondo tournaments. So basically, you can't punch to the head, right? But you can back fist to the head and ridge hand to the head.
I know if you knock someone out too hard, you get disqualified.
Yeah, which is bizarre. But dude, all I feel like he would have to do. Actually, wait a minute. I think low kicks are illegal. So that's
what's he gonna win with?
Well, what I initially imagined was him just ripping.
His left hook's illegal.
I just imagine him ripping heavy body kicks.
Yeah, but it's like a point thing. You don't think
half.
someone who's focused on Taekwondo would beat him?
Yeah, but I imagine him getting finished. But like you said, if you get knocked out, if you thug too hard.
Yeah, he couldn't win an Olympic title.
Okay, well, you know who was an Olympic heavy?
The freaking
that dude. Who do you think wins in a fight? Right, like.
Right, but who do you think wins in a Taekwondo bout? I bet you that dude. I would take that guy.
But I'm about to go back on this. But now I'm like, if you make the Taekwondo bout into a fight, then you. But
yeah, for sure. If you make the figure skating competition into a fight, he'll win that too.
I know, but what I'm saying is
like you know what I mean? Like we're talking about the sport.
If you
do you think he would win a judo Olympic gold?
So in the same way that like Ramon Deckers, right? He doesn't play Muay Thai, right? He was just like a demon who just went out and just threw heavy and just like knocked dudes out. Yeah. That's kind of what I imagined him doing in Taekwondo. But now that you're saying that,
but he can't. It's not. And I don't think he would be able to. I think because they can just point and run, point and run. Like it's not like he's like so overwhelmingly like.
And they have all kinds of weird rules too that like
there's
allow
not a
you
cage
to like sit
also.
on like one foot and like do that like flicky stuff that I hate.
Yeah, and there's no cage.
Now I'm remembering some of my I've only lost 3 matches in like traditional martial arts. One was, and then granted this is a kid's rule, but just an example of like goofy rules they had. This kid kept throwing head kicks at me, and I was pulling, and I didn't know. But
the halo.
Yeah, they had a 1 foot halo around the head, and all of those counted as points. And I was like, dude, I'm a beast. I'm missing this kick by the smallest margins and countering. Like, I'm awesome. And they were like, nah, dude.
That's crazy.
But nah, you're probably right.
What do you got, Max?
I was gonna ask, because I feel like you're a good person to ask about this. What do you think carries more weight if Alex is winning, you know, a double champ in glory or winning a gold medal in boxing in the Olympics?
I would say gold medal in boxing. Again, it happens one every 4 years.
I would lean.
Look at the greatest
boxing.
boxers of all time. Floyd's not an Olympic champ.
Yeah. So okay. So I could see arguments either way. I would still say boxing gold medalist. But especially in the modern era, there's so much like corrupt, and I don't know enough about this to like really know, but like there's a lot of like corruption in that system, and a lot of Americans don't go into the Olympic system because they just want to go and make money as a pro. So like, are they really the best? I don't know. But then you have all those like Eastern European dudes who are super good, you know, the Lomachenkos who have also become pro champions. So like, yeah, I would say boxing probably over glory, but
Well, because here goes a way to look at it. Like in a boxing, it's going to be the Olympic medal, and I think I'm going to sell you right now. Because are you weighting a glory title over an undisputed boxing title, or is that equal? Like if someone is an undisputed champion in boxing, meaning they hold the WBO, WBC, whatever,
unified champion. That's okay.
unified
Yeah,
champion,
gotcha.
unified champion,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, I gotta say that's even more impressive than a glory belt, let alone at least equal.
Yes.
Do you disagree with that, Max?
You're I'm not saying I disagree with it. I'm trying to clarify. You're saying that because of the difficulty of, because of all the external factors not related to skill, the other factors of like you have to jump through so many political hoops to get all of these belts unified.
It's not even just
Well,
that.
that's difficult too. But like,
Right, but that's
'Cause
outside of your control.
That
okay,
seems
let's
like
just
the
take
number one.
whatever one makes you considered the best, right? Like, okay, whichever belt Canelo holds.
No, I like what you're saying about unified. I think
Okay, but even then, right? I mean, like, okay, the glory champ versus the K1 champ versus the one champ, right? Like, who's the glory kickboxing champ? Who's the one championship kickboxing champ? You know, it's like, okay, which one's heavier there? It's like, okay, like we could agree, like, oh, we think glory is better because this fighter we think is better, or this division we think is
Right,
deeper.
yeah.
Just the same way we hold UFC above, PFL, right? We hold that division. Okay, so we have the same thing in boxing. It's like, oh, the WBO, the WBA, the WBC, like whatever they are,
Right,
right?
yeah.
But still, a boxing belt, you got to consider a boxing belt equal to a glory belt because they're dealing with the same things.
I think I'm going to make the point you're about to make. I think the boxing belts actually means more because I believe
And it can mean more, but you are willing. I need everybody. I want to know that everybody's
Yeah.
willing to agree it's at least equal.
for sure. Yeah. I
It's
will
at least
agree.
equal. Maybe a slight bit less because there's more boxing weight classes.
No. I think more because I think more people box.
Okay, so there's that too. All right, but okay, so just for the sake of the argument,
Right, let's just go
roughly equal,
Uh-huh.
right? Roughly equal, right? Many people hold multiple boxing belts in multiple weight classes. Many, like some people 3 weight class champs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In Olympic boxing, you can't do. It's almost impossible to do that, right? Vasily, 2-time champ,
Yes.
right? Okay, well, how many pro belts does he have? More than 2, or had?
Yeah.
You know, like obviously he's lost some, but more than 2, right? Okay, well, he got to win those in a shorter time span than he could win those 2 Olympic titles. He could only win that Olympic title in 08 and 12,
Yeah.
or 12 and 16, whatever his titles were,
Right.
you know? And there's only one. There's only one, right? Like there's not the WBO, WBC, there's not glory, there's not one. It's the Olympics, and there's only one, and it happens every 4 years. And only one person per country can be there, right? So there's one Russian, there's one American. That means you have to be your national champ that same year, and then beat all the other national champs.
Yeah.
That same year. Being an Olympic champion is unfathomable. It's crazy
It
hard.
really is.
It's
it
crazy
really
hard.
is.
And it's like, oh, dude, like, what if you're peak? Like, how many MMA fighters, how many great champions do we have that were champions in MMA for more than 4 years?
Oh,
Right?
I
Like,
don't know.
like John Jones.
Jones, Silva was GSP 4 years.
I got to imagine, yeah. Right? You know what I mean?
Dude, I don't think there's any others.
But it's like we don't need to have the exact number. But what we can do is we could be like the average title reign is probably a year and a half, right? You got the dudes who win it and then lose at the
less.
next fight. Okay, maybe even
Yeah.
less. So we're the point is no one's arguing
right,
for it to
right.
be more, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what if your title reign happened in 20, 29, 10, and 11? Oh, but the Olympics were in 12, brother.
Yeah.
We have that in wrestling. My favorite wrestler, Besik Kudakov, world champion, 9, 10, and 11. Didn't win the Olympics in 12. You know what I mean?
Didn't Romero do that?
Maybe something similar to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, you know what I mean? Like, it only matters like that your peak happened on that Olympic year.
Right, exactly. And then,
Right?
Yeah.
You
And,
know?
and you have all that time to prepare for that
Right?
exact moment.
And
Yeah, the
like
Olympics
to
really
be
are
the
pretty
actual
incredible.
best, to be the actual best. Now, the other thing also is it's a fresh restart every year, right? You know what I mean? Like everybody has the shot every year, you know? Like right now, DDP is the champ of the middleweight division, right? And we might be like, you know what, dude? I know for a fact Chimaev is better, right? But Chimaev's going to get the title shot in August, all right? What if that just magically happened to be right after Chimaev's prime?
Right? Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And be like, damn, he was the best fighter in the world. He was the best middleweight in the world, but he got the title shot after his prime. You know, that's not the case, but that's the example I'm giving here. And that's why it's hard. It's hard to win the Olympics. It's hard.
Dude, you know the only thing harder than winning the Olympics?
Winning it 5 times like Mijan Lopez.
No, you know it's harder than that.
What?
Is figuring out the difference between significant strikes.
And it's included. Oh. But, all right. Well, that's good.
Let's move on.
Let's move. All right. Cruz retires. Oh, belt promos. All right. Let's talk some fun stuff real quick. So this past Saturday, actually, I got tons of stuff to talk about this. So we'll just go belt promos first. This past Saturday, Stout, we had our belt promotion ceremony. It's always a good time. We have about 2 a year. All right. Yeah, and they're always a good time. This one, I would say some highlight belts that were given out. A lot of you know Lucas Siebert, world's bronze medalist in the IBJJF at blue belt, 3-0 pro MMA fighter, fighting March 15th right here in Pittsburgh. So make sure you're buying tickets to that fight. He achieved his purple belt, right?
What a surprise.
What a surprise. After, being a world medalist at blue belt, you might, be considered to be a purple belt. Wow, good for you. All right. Also, tons of people, but just a few highlights that I want to hit. I want to hit on Ryan Rice. Okay, so Ryan Rice, congratulations. He got awarded his brown belt this weekend. And one of the main reasons why I want to bring Ryan up is because on that White Belt to Black Belt podcast we did, that was episode 36, a while back. He actually was brought up, but not by name. Right. There was a portion on there because we had just had belt promotions, and I was like, man, I was really getting hounded by a lot of like training partners, other coaches. You got to give Ryan his brown belt. You got to give Ryan his brown belt. I'm a brown belt. He's better than me. He beats me. He does this. He does that. And like it's about a coach's like it's the relationship between the coach and the student. And at that time, Ryan was not posing an offensive threat to me, and that was something that I needed to feel that he was a brown belt. He was a very good purple belt. But I just, I felt like he could defend me well. He was good at defending, but I never felt like I had to worry about any for example, so like who has like Lucas has a really good high elbow guillotine. Right. So like when I'm in there, like I gotta be like, oh no, like I gotta be there was no like real thing that Ryan had that really like sent me into worry, right? And I didn't call him out by name or anything, but like he read through the tea leaves and figured out it was him. And we were partners. Warren came up to Zealy. Ryan's mainly a Zealy guy. Warren came up to Zealy, taught a heel hook block in one of my classes, and I got to be the student in it. So I was like, Ryan, you're my partner. And dude, this dude tried to break my leg every day. Every day. And over the past, it's been 6 months since then. And over those past 6 months, man, he sure has become very dangerous, and not just in one area, in several areas. So, I would like to think that makes this belt feel a little bit maybe more like validating to him, knowing that I wasn't just like, yeah, dude, I think you're good. Yeah, you've been training for a long time. You've been doing good. Here you go. Right, like that. I consider a serious standard.
Oh yeah.
Right. So when you meet that standard, I would hope that you are more pumped of it rather than me just being like, yeah, time served. Here you go. You know what I mean? So really proud of him for that, and he didn't care. I'm sure he actually brought it up. When Sean Lupka got his black belt, he said, if Warren came and was like, hey, we don't do belts anymore, I'm still training jiu-jitsu. I don't train for the belt. Yeah. Right. And Ryan actually brought that up. So I really appreciated that. We'll save the big one for last. So I, myself, received a promotion. Max, did you know that? I am now a 2nd degree black belt, which means, drum roll, please. Oh, man. Our ceremonial let you guys know how freaking cool I am.
Hey.
Belt right here. Now, guys, I'll cut this piece of tape a little long, but we'll all survive. We'll all survive. Gets a 2nd degree. Now, why is that important? Well, I'll tell you why that's important. It's important because of this next reason. Now that I have 2 degrees on my black belt. I am now officially, I have the power vested in me to promote to black belt. And I probably had the fastest turnaround of all time from being given the power and using the power. Immediately after the tape was wrapped on, I gave a little like talk about like what it meant and like things like that and how the gym has grown and stuff. And then I turned around and I said, "Hey, Claire Butterfield, get on out here and get your black belt." Right? So I got to give my first black belt out. So that was a co-1 between Warren and I. But I feel like probably since about like purple belt, Claire, pretty serious competitor.
Yeah.
And since about purple belt, I started like maybe doing more of her coaching and stuff like that. Coached her at the World Championships now, 3 years running, and things like that. And she's been doing great. She's a Pan Am adult brown belt bronze medalist. Great time to go ahead and jump in the black belt and chase those black belt aspirations. And those black belt aspirations, they start right now, because as a black belt, you have to qualify for the World Championships. And the underbelts, you just register, sign up and go.
Yeah.
Black belt, you have to go through the circuit and you got to qualify. So let's let this qualifying procedure start. And hopefully we're here in December talking about Claire's black belt world medals and things of that nature. So congratulations to Claire. And it was an honor for you to be my first black belt.
Well earned.
Yeah. You know?
That's awesome.
Comes at a pretty cool time though too, because today of recording time, February 10th, today is the 15-year anniversary of Stout PGH.
That's wild.
At the time it was, today was the 15-year anniversary of the first class, February 10th, 2010, in Lawrenceville on Butler Street. Really small room, only a handful of students for a while. Warren decided to open up. At this time, we were just Henzo Gracie Pittsburgh. We then evolved into Stout Training Pittsburgh, Team Henzo Gracie, and now Stout PGH, Team Henzo Gracie. And it's crazy to see like the gym grow from this tiny 1,000 square foot mat where you could have like three groups of people rolling on at a time, to now having 4 locations, each location with over 3,000 square foot of mat. Warren providing us this opportunity to do this for a living, multiple of us, and now we're able to spread it to like many, many more people. It's a great life, and I'm very thankful for it. And I'm very thankful that I came through at the just right time to where I could fit in. You know what I mean? Like, I think about that. If I was 22 right now, I wouldn't be able to do this job, right? Like, I didn't have like what it takes to be like somebody who could jump into this.
Imagine, obviously it's not at this point yet, but imagine again being like fresh out of college or whatever, and like just being like, oh, I'm just gonna go become a assistant head coach at a for an NFL team. It's like, that's not gonna happen,
Right? Yeah, for sure.
But we got in at that perfect time.
Yeah, it's right, and right place, right time. And it's worked out. A lot of hard work went into it, but here we are. Let's keep it going. Year 15. Max, did you know that it was year 15 today?
No, I didn't. Wow. You taught my first jiu-jitsu class ever in that little.
Tell us a little
gym.
Bit about it.
So I go in, and
this would have been the summer of 2011.
I don't know, dude.
It was summer of 2011.
Okay, so you would know. So I roll in with Kev and Joe, and you were like, all right, guys, like, I'm teaching today. We're going to do a takedown to a pass to some sort of, choke or whatever. Or it might have been Kimura. I don't remember, but it was just takedown, pass, submission.
Yeah.
And I loved that it had like an MMA wrestling, like,
had a little bit of like the whole process.
Right, but it wasn't sport jiu-jitsu. You weren't like, hey guys, today we're gonna like learn how to pull guard and berimbolo. I would have been like, cool, but like, I'm about fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you had that vibe too, and you were like, and you and I just like clicked instantly. We became Facebook friends.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It was a great time. We rolled. You tapped me a bunch.
Sick, dude. So I was pretty good back then.
It was nuts though. I did get a Kimura on you. You obviously defended it, but like just barely knowing what I was like, I think I can do this. I got long arms. And then
Just like, I'm gonna thread my arms through in this fashion.
And I remember asking you, I was like, is this on? And you were like, yeah, keep going.
That's funny.
Yeah. And then I trained there for that summer, and rest history.
Rest is history. Then you went back to school, threw some hands,
Yep.
graduated. We needed a boxing coach. Slide adapt. Here we are. Listen
on
to
the
your
board.
coach's podcast. All right, cool. Yeah, so that wraps up the belt promos. 15-year anniversary. Congratulations to Warren.
Yeah.
Let's close it down. Let's run some.
Wait. Before we discuss UFC, do you want to talk about the Super Bowl at all?
Oh, not really.
I just got to tell you one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, leading up to the Super Bowl, I'm like, dude, who do I root for? Right? Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? But, like, I want to, as I start watching, like, start to care, right? And my family came over, right? My parents, my sister, my brother-in-law, they brought, my little niece over. Dude, I asked my little niece, I was like, hey, who's going to win, the Chiefs or the Eagles? And she doesn't know anything. She's just like, the Eagles. And I was like, all right, I'm going for the Eagles now. So that's why I texted you. I was like, go Birds.
Go Birds. Yeah, so I had the Eagles. I had them at plus 1.5. Parlayed with the over at 49.5. We slapped on that. Finished the year on a high note. Cashed out already. This morning, transferred all the funds right out of the FanDuel. I left some money in for MMA gambling, but like my football unit,
Right, yeah.
significantly. It's actually 10x my MMA unit.
Dude.
Yeah, so got that out. Profitable year. We'll see about next year. Let's do it. All right, so UFC Fight Night. We got a UFC Fight Night this weekend. We're gonna run through, hit our quick picks. All right, let's start at the top of the top.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Give me a time. Give me an actual time. Give me.
It's about 4.
About 4. All right, we're good. All right, let's start at the top of the top. All right, we got Jared Cannonier versus, Gregory Rodrigues. Is Gregory Rodrigues usually a middleweight?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought he was a light heavyweight for some reason.
No, he's RoboCop, that dude who just like.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Okay, you're familiar with him?
I'm familiar with him.
Dude.
Ugh, gross.
This is an interesting fight because I would say Cannonier is probably a way better fighter, but like
He's 40.
He's definitely on the decline. And Rodrigues, I think Rodrigues is close to 40, but he is no, he's not. He's only 32?
That's an 8-year age difference.
Bro, that's an old 32.
Yeah, can I tell you what my problem is with picking? Is I think I pick most of the time who I want to win.
Yeah.
Not who I think is going to win. And that's a problem. I need to pick who I think is going to win.
Well, I'm gonna do the opposite now. I want Cannonier to win.
I want Cannonier to win. I'm taking Rodrigues.
Me too. RoboCop's got it. He's young. He's indestructible. That's the thing about the indestructible guys too. Is I'm always like, oh, eventually your chin gives out, but like until it does, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
You know. So, yeah, dude, I'm gonna go Rodrigues.
Max, who do you got?
I'm taking Cannonier.
Let's go. Okay, we got a splitter there. That would be a majority decision.
All right,
scroll us
Should we
down.
Move on to Cater and Yusuf Zalal.
Oh my gosh! See, again, you know, I want Calvin Kattar to win.
Yep.
First off, shout out to the old dudes, 36 years old.
And shout out to Tyson.
Yeah, Tyson Chartier. Is Calvin Kattar still there?
I don't know if they're still there, but they're like, I know they're on like good terms because I saw a post that he made about Ron Font when we saw him. With Faraz
they
and
jumped
whatever.
up to TriStar.
Yeah, so I don't know what that situation is.
That TriStar. Rob Font did Rob Font not look good in his TriStar debut?
Yeah, dude, he looked awesome. I mean, look at these odds. I'm gonna have to go with Yusuf. Cater's also, probably on, the way he's in the second half of his career, I'd imagine. Isn't that crazy how we talk about fighters we like versus ones we don't? We take Cruz, who's an all-timer, and I'm like, yo, dude, he's all right.
You know what, dude? I'm sticking with Calvin Kattar. And I'm going to put a unit on him this weekend.
Ooh.
Here goes the thing. Like, I don't think this Yusuf Zalal is a world beater, right? Like, I mean, he's lost 5 times already. So he can lose.
He can.
Calvin Kattar, fresh up to TriStar, first fight out. I just got a feeling. I got a feeling I'm going Calvin Kattar.
I hope you're right, but dude, Morocco produces those good strikers. I have no idea if Yusuf Zalal a good striker or not, but
the numbers would suggest that he is.
I would imagine so, but I haven't watched him fight. All right, well, I shouldn't say that. I've seen a lot of these guys fight. I just don't know who their names
Here
are.
goes what I like, okay? So this Yusuf Zalal he grapples more than Calvin Kattar. But Calvin Kattar nearly doubles him in significant strikes landed per minute.
Yeah.
So
Do they
like
have-
even though Zalal is coming in at a higher accuracy on that, right? So he lands at a rate of 15% more. But if he's doubling that rate, you know what I mean? Cater's going to be landing more.
You know what we
right?
need is we need significant strikes absorbed per minute, because if
Well, we do know Calvin Cater took some significant strikes against Max Holloway.
outlier, but I do know those stats exist somewhere.
But I do know that he was there. Calvin Cater was
Oh
there.
yeah, there's zero quitting that dude.
Yeah. So there's that. I'm going Cater. Who do you got, Max?
Back when Imavov and Izzy fought, I went with my brain instead of my heart, so I'm gonna go with my heart this time and take Cater.
Let's go. Okay, Max.
Now I'm feeling bad.
All
sticking
right.
with Zalal,
I'm
bro.
going Edmund Shabazian. I don't even need to see anything else. Slide it down. Bro.
Really?
Dude, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because he didn't look so good in his last fight. Did you see it?
Look, yeah.
But yeah. Okay. Let's all go Shabazian. And
Are
just
you
move
going?
on.
Is anybody not going Shabazian? Max?
Yeah, I'm taking Shabazz.
All right, cool. All right.
What? Hold on. What do we not know about this kid?
About who? Dylan Bucka?
Yeah.
We know a lot about him. He's an Ohio kid. He's fought at all the local shows.
I know, but why is he there?
He had a Dana White Contender Series fight in
Okay,
which
and he looked good in that.
no, he did not look good in it. But what did they give him? Did he do two of them?
No, it was like he had his Dana White Contender fight, and Dana was like, "You didn't look good, but I'm gonna trust the guys in back and take you because they have faith in you."
Did he fight for OCL?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm
think-
sure.
Can I see his picture real quick?
You know him, dude. He'd be at the Made Men fights in Youngstown and stuff.
Okay. He looks very familiar.
He was a super nice guy. He might even come through the gym. He's come through. He's been at Saturday Sparring.
Yeah. He looks very familiar.
But one of the things with him is they were like, you need to drop the welterweight, and he didn't. So
How tall is he? 6 foot. Man, I really want to root for him.
well, I mean,
I'm
he's
taking
Owen-
him. I'm taking him. Official pick.
No way. There's no way you're taking him.
I am.
Okay. All right.
Going with my
Mark
heart. Oh, I hope he wins. That'd be so sick.
I mean, I want him to win. He's a local guy, and guess what? USA. Let's go. You know how.
Isn't Shabazian from like California or something?
Is he?
Yeah, dude. I'm pretty sure he's
All
American.
right, click on Shabazian then. Okay, let's find out. Yep, never mind. Well, here goes. We did an episode on who to root for, and my criteria was number one: do I personally know you? If I personally know you and like you,
Yeah.
I'm rooting for you. I personally know Dylan Buckeye, like as far as like who he is to see him.
Yeah.
So he close enough
Right.
to meet that criteria.
Have you ever talked to him? Is he like nice?
Yes, I talked to him at the Made Men fight. I can't remember who was fighting, but it was inside at the Penguin City Brewery. It was,
he was
very
nice.
nice, very nice.
Yep. I'm definitely rooting for him, and I'm taking him as my official.
I'm just not taking him.
Fair
now,
enough.
with that being said, criteria number two was: are you coached by one of my friends?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I do not know his coach. Criteria number three is local proximity to me. Right?
Mm-hmm.
UPA, let's go. Then it
Yeah.
goes out from there. You know. So yeah, so he fits criteria.
He's from
number
PA
three.
Junior. Ohio.
He's from Ohio. So also he's a wrestler.
Oh, I feel even better about that now. Okay. Yep.
Feel as good as you want. All right. That's an extra dub for me and Max. All right, let's go.
What you guys need. All right.
I need one of those right now.
So I'm gonna take Bonfim, but I want to kind of root for the Azerbaijani homie because
Because yeah, me too.
you know what? No, I take it back. I am going with Nazim because not only am I rooting for him, I am taking him to win. We've met him.
Yeah,
And-
Nazim for me as well.
Yeah.
These fights are this weekend.
Yeah.
He was at the LFA fights.
Yeah. Yeah. He was very cool.
Very cool.
Very supportive of Farman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big fan. All right. Yeah. I'm going
Adolfo
with Nazim.
Vieira versus Andre Petrosky.
Wait, hold on. We need his pick.
Oh,
For Bonfim, I'm taking Bonfim.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why, but you didn't meet Nazim, so you're gonna be wrong.
Yeah. I like that. All right, we got Rodolfo Vieira versus Andre Petrosky. That, oh, goodness gracious.
Man.
Dang, dude. Who?
I'm trying to remember. I'm mixing him up with someone else.
I need more of Rodolfo. Who were Rodolfo's losses to?
Yeah.
And who did he just beat in those last two?
Okay, so he beat Petrosian, who was that guy that bullet double back fist. He beat Brundage, who's legit. He lost to Curtis and he lost to Hernandez.
His losses are actually.
I'm
like,
taking
both
Rodolfo.
ranked guys.
Rodolfo, which is tough because, Petrosky is a Marquez MMA guy, and those dudes are awesome.
Click on him real quick, Petrosky. What are his last fights? This one I'm not sure about, to be honest. I'm leaning right now Vieira, but I need to see. So he beat Boca. He beat Josh Fram. Okay, you know what? I'm definitely going to go Rodolfo because he beat Fremd. And well, actually, no, we want him to win because he beat Fremd.
It's okay. I'm Rodolfo. Mark it for me.
Yeah, I'm leaning Vieira.
We're all taking Vieira there.
All right. Connor Matthews versus Jose Delgado.
We might as well stop making picks at this point because I'm like,
So here, scroll down.
Oh, okay. No, we can do. I want
to do the Angela Hill fight.
And also, dude, Chaos Williams and Gabriel Bonfim. That's interesting. I'm going Bonfim, but
are they related?
Yeah, they're brothers. They got in on Contenders Series together, and they had like pretty good performances.
Dang.
Go.
I want to see the whole card. Go down more.
That's it.
All right.
Honestly, I don't think we need to give any more picks because
we're
unless
good.
anyone's taking Chaos Williams.
No.
Okay, then keep it moving. I would take.
I would take Ketlin.
I'll take Angela.
I'll take Angela.
Yeah.
Then I'll take Angela too.
I'm taking Ketlin.
Huh?
I'm taking Ketlin.
I'll take Ketlin. I'm gonna take Ketlin. Ketlin Souza.
At the end of the year, if you came in second in this little competition, would you rather come in second to me or to Max?
I'd rather come in second to you.
Okay.
But with that being said, I'm not trying to come in second. I'm trying to come in first, and it's February, dude. We got time.
All right, so
I haven't even been doing any research. I'm basically going off of their picture.
I'm going off of prior knowledge, which again, I mix these dudes up all the time. When I first looked at Vieira, you know who I thought it was? I thought it was BDS. So I saw his face and I was like, oh, that's what? Wrong weight class.
All right.
Doesn't really look like him that much either.
All right, well, that's this weekend. Hey, scroll me all the way up to the top, Max. Let's tell these people when they can watch this card and where they can watch this card. It appears that it's going to be on ESPN Plus. Main card popping off at 7 p.m. Eastern. Check your local listings. And that's all we got.
We got fights this weekend.
We got fights this weekend.
Yeah, we're going to have to watch this.
Dude. Bro. I suck. Yeah, shout out. So this weekend we got Logan Pryor. Right? Fighting. Oh, so these fights are at the racetrack and casino. The racetrack and casino. What is it? It's the Mountaineer. Okay. Mountaineer Racetrack and Casino. There's the one in. What's the one in Washington?
I don't know. Oh, Hollywood?
No, it's not Hollywood.
Oh.
The one in Washington? Meadowlands. Meadows. Meadows.
Meadows.
Yeah, Meadows, right? Yeah. So this is which one's this one again? The Mountaineer. The Mountaineer Racetrack and Casino. We've got Logan Pryor stepping into the cage, looking to have a good bout. And then we also have our man, Bronco Busick, in a professional 205-pound contest. And we are very excited for both of those gentlemen. And we look forward to reporting back to you guys next Monday about 2 dominant victories. Before we go, let's take a quick look at the standings. Can you either zoom in? So this year on the scoreboard, on our Fight Pick'em, currently sitting tied in first place would be me and Will with a record of 13, 11, and 1 draw. That's the draw from this weekend, right?
Yeah.
And then Max would be sitting just 1 match back at 12 and 12. So, man, this is some tight running. Close. I like how we picked 25 fights already this year, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big sample size.
I mean, we could have picked them all if we were really.
I bet you if we put a unit on all of our picks, we would be down significant money right now.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Because a lot of our wins are probably like favorites,
Yes.
right? So they're not returning back full
Yes.
units.
100%.
Yeah, we're losing. Yeah, we're losing money.
Yeah, dude. That Ponzi scheme's not gonna work out.
Yeah, you got this Ponzi scheme. I'm just gonna have to wait until I. In my defense, I have done no research. I'm just ripping and ripping off of vibes.
Sometimes what you gotta do.
All right, you all set? You set, Max? You got anything important you want to say, Coach William?
Nothing.
Coach Billstrap. All right, that's it. That's another riveting episode of Listen to Your Coaches, and we will catch you guys next time.